how long is my money gonna last in retirement? This is a new avenue for me on the channel. Normally I do a can I retire video, but today I have a 67-year-old female. She's already retired. She retired at 62. She came to me asking the question, Drew, how long is my retirement savings going to last? And that was the question. She really is concerned with inflation, with the uptick in her expenses. How long is her retirement savings going to last? And I want to show you exactly how we solved this problem using a different technique than I've normally shown on the channel, okay? But before we get going any further, make sure if you're not subscribed to the channel, you hit the button below to subscribe. Smash the like button if you enjoy this content, and please leave your questions and your comments below. I read them all and I try to respond accordingly. So let's look at this. It's an interesting case for someone to call me and say, hey Drew, how long is my money going to last? And to be actually really concerned. So she's a 67-year-old female. She's got Social Security at 62, which is $492 a month. Now, remember, with Social Security, you're going to get about a 1.5% COLA increase every year. That's kind of the average over the last 10 years. Over the last 47 years, it's been around 3%. But I'm going to shoot low, and if we get higher than that, we're going to high five and handshake. Her pension is $2,498 a month, and that is CPI linked, which means it's going to increase at 3% every year on average. Now, her expenses right now, this is really why she called. Her expenses are $4,844. And what she has seen in retirement, and especially over the last 12 months, is an increase in her variable expenses, an increase in inflation. Not necessarily because she's spending more, but her car insurance is more expensive, her taxes are more expensive, her home insurance is more expensive. The food at the grocery store and the gas that she puts in her car is more expensive. And I think you can relate. And so she's concerned at 67 years old, how long is my retirement savings going to last? Can I stay in retirement? Now, out of her $4,844 in expenses, she has a home loan of $1,441. That means she has variable expenses of $3,403. That's going to be her property taxes, her homeowner's insurance, her car insurance, going to the grocery store, any kind of memberships that she has, and really discretionary spending. Her grandkids don't live in Florida, so she travels to see them. So airline tickets have gone up, gas has increased, and so her variable expenses are at $3,403 after her fixed expense of $1,441. Now let me show you why I broke these two figures out. And I don't normally do this. Normally we put in expenses, we give it an inflation rate, but I think in this case you really need to see why I broke the variable expenses out of her total her total expense figure, okay? Let me show you real quick. Here, let's do it like this. Let's come over here. Can you see that there? So we have expenses and income. Her income, $2,498. That's going to be her pension. She's got $492 in Social Security, which means she's got $2,990 in guaranteed monthly income. Now remember, this has a CPI index of 3%, meaning it's going to grow at 3% or whatever the consumer price index grows, so whatever inflation grows at. This, her Social Security, has a COLA increase that averages 1.5%. So this figure here is going to grow basically with inflation every year. She has a home loan of $1,441. Now that is a fixed expense. She has a variable expense of $3,403. So that's her home insurance, her gas, her groceries. So that figure is actually going to increase. So if you take the variable expenses, you subtract out what her guaranteed income is, there's a $413 expense that has to come out of her investments, okay? So we've got a total of $4,844 in expenses. We have a fixed expense. This is not changing based on inflation. Only this one is. So when you look over here, you take the total expenses, right? Subtract out her variable expenses, and that means we've got $413 that's going to be inflated every year because this is going to keep up with inflation, right? This is fixed, and so this is the amount that we have to take out of her accounts that has to be inflated, meaning this whole figure here is not going to have to be subject to inflation. Does that make sense? Are you guys getting this? Okay, let's go into the income planning. I'll show you what I mean. All right, let me show you how we did the exact planning for this 67-year-old female wondering how long is my retirement income or my retirement savings or my retirement investments going to last. And I want to show you this because what we're essentially doing is stripping out the fixed expenses, because what we don't want to do is project inflated expenses that don't have inflation. Because a lot of times when you look at the financial planning software, unless you're getting more detailed, all the software is going to do is put an expected inflation increase on all your expenses. Well, not all your expenses have inflation. Your home loan doesn't have inflation. Car loans don't have inflation unless you have an ARM loan for either of those. There are expenses that aren't inflated, but there are inflated expenses like your grocery bill, your gas bill, your home insurance is going to go up every year, your taxes are going to go up every year. So we have to kind of put to bed the thought that everything's going to go up with inflation. Well, not really. So let me show you how this works. So this is a 67-year-old female. We've got $380,000 in retirement savings, all right? She's got $208,000 in an individual account. It's a brokerage account. She has $74,000 in an IRA, and she has $97,000 in the bank. Now what we're doing is we're repurposing $67,000 out of the bank, and we're putting that into her retirement investment. So we're going to basically invest $67,000 out of here and reposition it into this $208,000, because the money in the bank's earning 0, and these two figures here we're going to say earn about 6%. Remember, the S&P 500 has averaged 10% over its lifetime, 8% with inflation. So we're going to go to 6 because we're taking out income and backing it down. So we're starting with right about $350,000 in retirement investments, $349,495. Remember, she's 67 years old. Her expenses are $4,844 right now. That has her fixed expenses in that. Now we're going to break those out on the next 10 years. But in this $4,844, remember, $1,441 of that is a home loan that is fixed. Her pension, $2,498. Social Security is $492. That means we have investment money that has to come out of her investments of $1,854. All right. So over 10 years, if she earns 6%, her $349 will go to $332,037. Now here's where I want you to really pay attention. We're going to take her home loan, we're stripping that out, because 10 years from now, her home loan is still going to be $1,441. She just refinanced her house 30 years up to 97 years old, so it's still going to be $1,441. Her expenses have gone to $4,573. Now let me explain that real quick. That is taking this $4,844, stripping out the loan, the $1,441, and putting inflation on what was left. It's like $3,000 and something. So $4,573 is what her variable expenses have climbed to. Now her pension has risen to $3,357. That's the CPI-linked pension, and Social Security has gone to $570, which means she needs $2,087 out of her retirement investment. So you have to take out retirement income of $2,087. If she does this and she earns 6% for 10 years, she'll have $262,090 left at 87. Now, when you start to do this past 87, it lasts for about 5 more years. So that gets her to 92. She feels very comfortable with that. And that's really kind of where we're going to do our planning. Now, she's 67. One of my recommendations to her was, if you want to work part-time, it might not be a bad idea to look into that so that we can supplement some of this. But if she doesn't want to and she wants to take the risk and say, okay, at 92, I'm okay with running out of retirement income, that is fine. Okay, mortality tables are 84 years old for females. So odds are she won't get to 92. Now, I don't like to do that kind of planning. I would rather say, hey, What you could do, take a part-time job, earn a little extra income. She does have an Airbnb that I did not mention, so she gets a little bit of income from that, but not enough to supplement what we're trying to do. I've explained to her, hey, maybe you kind of increase that rental income, maybe you make that a bigger part of your plan and we can have a little extra income. But this is just showing you how you've got to strip out your fixed expenses because not everything is growing with inflation, okay? So I hope this has helped you plan your retirement income, and your retirement expenses. Now, first time to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button below, smash the like button if you enjoy this content, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. God bless. Bye-bye.